Hello, this is John from the Haunt Informer,
And I'm Glenn from Fall Ritual.
and this is episode 26 of Fall Informer. And today we have special guests. We have Kitty and Ryan from Red Vein Haunted House.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hello. Great. Thank you for joining
Thank you.
us.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm Ryan. Yep. One of the owners with Kitty at Red Vein. We are entering our seventh season. And we have an escape room, a year-round escape room, and that's been going on for 3 years as well.
Nice.
Awesome. So let's get into the newest event you guys got coming up, the Spring-O-Ween. This is the 5th year you guys are doing it. How did that start, and what can people expect from it and attending it?
You want to start?
Well, as far as starting, we kicked off Spring-O-Ween in 2016 before we had opened our first season of Red Vein Haunted House. And we just wanted more Halloween. We wanted more spooky year round. And we're looking at the calendar and we're like, halfway to Halloween, we need to do something. So we partnered with a local brewery. We made our first escape game, which was a 3-minute mini game, complete with an Alice and a hatchet and,
Very basic.
maniac characters. Yeah.
It's no tech in it. Very, low tech and just finding things inside of it.
And 100 locks.
Yeah, 100 locks.
100 locks, we learned.
But you got to start somewhere, and it was a good way to build sets because I had worked at another haunt that lost their location. So for a few years, we would go around and do line entertainment at different haunts in Virginia, and we would help with them. And we would do kind of pop-up events at different restaurants or bars, make photo ops. And we wanted to start really focusing on having a haunt. And this was a small way to be able to build sets and show off what we are capable of, and also challenge ourselves because we'd never done an escape room. They just started popping up in town, 5-6 years ago. And we didn't really know what we were doing, but we wanted to give it a shot. So we took halfway to Halloween as a chance to really show that off and do an event and do an escape room. And I think we pulled it off.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was nice to create a little world inside of another building. We still had our costume contest. We partnered with the Embalmers, a local spooky music band, and had live music. And that was a 2-day event. Now we've expanded and we've moved to Hanover Vegetable Farm, which is the same location that our haunt is held at. And we have a festival. So we have 3 bands, we have over 40 vendors, food, drinks. We've got demos from different artists, in the area, makeup wars. There's so much going on.
And we're debuting another 3-minute escape room.
How can I forget that?
It always happens to work out where we're creating a new escape room for Spring-O-Ween.
Yeah.
So we've been wanting to do this for 2 years. And of course, with COVID, it didn't work out. We bought a mobile trailer, 18-foot trailer, and we're building an escape room inside of there. And then we'll be able to take it around to festivals and events. So we're going to kick it off with Spring-O-Ween. And then one of our managers said, "Hey, my sister is selling a school bus for really cheap. Would you want to buy that?" And I was like, "Yes, I love school buses. We have another one at the haunt." And we're turning that into another mobile escape room. So we're going to have a game inside the bus, and then we're doing it with the trailer.
And you heard it first because we have not revealed that information. So huge spoiler.
There you go. We'll announce it on your show.
Yeah, no one else knows what it is.
Not sure when this is coming out, but we'll announce it on the show. So anyway, we've been working on that, not only and Kitty working at the escape room, but then we're getting the haunt ready too. So we have a lot going on. So we're trying to make sure the games are ready for Spring-O-Ween though.
Awesome.
Awesome. Sounds awesome. Sounds like a great time. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Vendors, food.
Well, the theme is with Spring-O-Ween is Camp Ashland, so it's really 80s kind of themed. So it works out with the bus. We'll have camp counselors walking around, and 80s maniac killers, and so that's why the bus is themed for that kind of 80s.
Nice. Now, something I'm curious about, I'm going to piggyback off of his question. I'm curious, at the end, it said there's some sort of like bonfire kind of thing at the end. Like, what is that? I'm curious what that is. It sounded very ritual like.
Yeah, it actually started as a joke. There is a video that circulated about 5 years ago with a bunch of witches dancing to a German song. And every single person we knew was sending it to us saying, hey, have you seen this? You like witches, you like Halloween, you've got to see it. So we're like, okay, well, we have seen it. Let me show you. So we decided we would do the exact same dance to close out Spring-O-Ween. And then we just ended up really loving it. And we, welcome everyone to join us. It's encouraged. Wear your witch hat, bring your broom, whatever you want to do. Come as you are. It doesn't matter. You don't even need to know the dance. Everyone gathers together. We have a huge bonfire and we dance together. So I guess it is very ritualistic, but it is witches night. So it's, Spring-O-Ween is on Walpurgis Night. It's tradition. We celebrate the witch. So
I was just going to bring that up. Like, you guys don't just take it. It's not like a halfway to Halloween. With what you guys do, it's always like a tradition around like Walpurgis Night, stuff like that. So it's not like a halfway to Halloween. You're celebrating Walpurgis Night, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it seems like you guys have a lot of like going back to, even with like your haunt, like a lot of like tradition stuff and a lot of old traditional stuff.
Yeah, we try to push that. Definitely, we love the vintage Halloween look with a lot of jack-o'-lanterns, with the scarecrows, and with the farm. That's why we love being on the farm. It kind of works out like that. It really captures our whole vibe that we're going for, because we have our corn maze, we have our woods, and we have our kind of Victorian house is our final attraction. And we want to capture as much of that Halloween magic as possible. So we kind of theme the haunt and make sure we're getting all that in, because, we love that anyway.
Yeah. And just to, continue off what he's saying, Virginia has a lot of folklore, and, just with Halloween in general, there is a lot that already exists. And we've created so much additional information, and you mix the two together, it gets to the point where people can't tell if this is real anymore. They don't know, is the Ashland witch, is she really here? They can't separate the original folklore from what we've created. And I think a lot of that is because so much of what we started with was genuine. There's history, you can look it up, you can discover it.
Yeah. I guess we're kind of selfish artists in a way, because we don't make things that we think other people, we don't design the haunt that is like, oh, we have to include this, we have to include this. We kind of just like including things that we love. And I think because that brings us so much joy, and because we're so into it, I think that the audience understands that, and then they appreciate it even more. And I think it just gives our haunt a more unique feel to it. So that's kind of how we approach designing.
Yeah. And you can connect to it.
Yeah.
Hopefully connect.
Yes. And going off of all the backstories and everything you're doing, I wanted to ask, you definitely have one of the best backstories I've seen for any haunt ever. And I really liked how highly detailed it was, and it goes through the different centuries. And I wanted to know, since it all ties back to Emily Redvane, I was curious, what's the process of actually creating that backstory? Like, how long did it take to write all that?
It's layered on year after year.
Okay.
So when we first started the haunt, we were like, okay, we obviously have to have like the main creature or villain in the haunt. What does it all tie back to? And we always love witches. And so then we brought on the witch and created that whole backstory. And how did she end up in Hanover? And what can we do to tie all these other different legends together? So the Bunny Man, or the Butcher of Hanover, or Dr. Insane at the asylum. So how do they all come together to form this overall great story? Because when you go on the haunt with the theme, it kind of builds on each other, and it transitions into one final scare at the end. So it ties all the attractions together. So you're kind of building on the story. Do you have more to add to how we created that?
It is really ongoing. There's a lot of whiteboards.
Yeah.
Random notepads, and it's year round. I can't say it's, centered at, we're going to focus on story in July. It's, November 1st, we are talking about what's the best way to continue the story from the season prior.
Yeah.
And it's a constant process.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully it's something that people are following, and we know not every customer is going to come through and even recognize that there's a story.
Right.
But I feel like over the years, more have picked up on it, and customers come out, and even if they're only getting 10%,
Mm-hmm.
they know that there are certain people that they were there to look for, and something was happening and they were part of it. And then the few that have been following and read our legend and pay attention, they come out, and it's fantastic to speak with them and just hear their feedback and what they loved and who they found, and if they had any questions. And I feel like every year we get better and better at completing it, taking it to the next step.
Yeah, we just love being storytellers, because we also run a ghost tour as well in the town of Ashland. So we just love telling stories and connecting with people that way. So this is just our way to kind of write almost like a mini movie, and kind of have people be part of that movie. They're really the main stars of the movie. They have to fight through all these different demons and witches and creatures and cult members to get to the end. We want them to be a part of it, and we just like telling that story and building on it every year. So it really wasn't this sit down and decide all these different things in one go round. It's like Kitty was talking about, it's over the years and different months and different meetings and all that stuff. And we're still going too.
Yeah, and I'll say the biggest challenge is probably making sure that everything connects properly, that when we add another layer, that it does connect back to, Emily in some way, or, another character, or what happened seasons past. It always has to make sense. So even with our new theme, I can't say much about, we're really excited about where it fits in and how it's connecting with everything that we've already told.
Yeah.
And
you'll see, I don't know if this is a question you're going to ask, but you'll see bunnies a lot in what we do. So you want to explain you're really good at explaining how the bunny connects to.
Let me bring something up, and I'd like you to tell it.
We're really good at telling that.
So, going back to witches are known for having their familiar, and, in most superstition, you always hear, oh, they turn into black cats, but in a lot of folklore, they turn into rabbits. In fact, the whole rabbit's foot story is, it could be the foot of a witch when they turned into the rabbit, and you chop it off and they'll turn back, but they won't have their foot anymore, but the rabbit's foot stays. But the story that we have is the rabbits are, of course, the witch's familiar. And when Emily was captured, the town was so worried she would transform to escape her fate that they slaughtered all the rabbits in Hanover along with her. So you have her being burned and hung, dismembered, and ultimately buried and drowned, and everything they could do to make sure this witch dies. And then beneath the tree, their bodies of all of the rabbits, and the ground is red for years to come.
Yeah.
So
and that's why our corn maze is called Rabbit's Cry Field, because that's where all the bunnies were slaughtered. And every Spring-O-Ween we release a new rabbit image. So I think we do have 5 rabbits that we've released now.
7, because even the seasons we did not have Spring-O-Ween, we still released our rabbit image.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, we always like to release a new bunny image, and we work with local artists too. So we'll hire out a local artist that we chose, and we'll say, this is kind of what we're thinking of for the new bunny image. So he or she will, draw that up for us, and then we'll make t-shirts and stickers and all sorts of stuff. And then it also kind of ties into what we're doing in October too. So yeah, we always love to have our bunnies, and even in other artwork that we create, we add little bunnies too. So sometimes you'll see a t-shirt with a random bunny in the background or something like that.
And you have the theme of lambs too. You even have a lamb behind you.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a lot of lambs.
themes.
So when we started the haunt, I wanted to have the characters call the customers something that they could just call throughout the haunt. They could just call out that name, and something that customers will feel like, again, make them feel more immersed in the story. And so I always loved, lambs to slaughter. You're sending out the lambs to get slaughtered. And I thought that tied in really with what we're doing with the witch and the storyline. So we just started calling our customers lambs. So you walk through the field or the house, and you'll hear the actors scream out lambs, or lambs are coming, or rotten lamb, or whatever else. So yeah, we love that.
Awesome. Thank you for telling me all about that.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of like writing all this down to like some type of like movie? I mean, this storyline is like sounds like a really good horror movie.
Yeah, we've had a couple of people mention that too. I mean, maybe one day. We know a few filmmakers, but that just takes time. It's a lot of work. So if someone else wants to make that and work with us, then sure. For us to be able to have time to sit down and do that, that would probably be a whole year or two to figure that out. So right now we're just way too busy, but maybe 1 year. But we kind of make our own little movie with our customers. A real life movie they can walk through. So
Yeah, definitely.
well, we'll let you guys know if we ever do. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Cool.
definitely.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely make teasers for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to go back to you just briefly touched on artwork. That's actually one of the questions I had about the arts, because you have some like amazing t-shirts, amazing artwork. All your like social media just has the coolest artwork.
Yeah.
And like you just said, it is local artists. Like, is that something you're looking for? Like, just supporting local artists, get their name
Absolutely.
out. You know?
Yeah, it's all a big community here in Richmond. It's artists supporting other artists. So anything we can do to support other artists, to give them jobs, because we've had plenty of people hire us and for different events. So it's all connected together and supporting each other. And there's some amazing artists here in Richmond too. So it's easy to work with them because there's so much talent. VCU, the university here in Richmond, is known for having art, really great art college. So it's really easy for us to work with them.
Has there been a favorite of yours, of like an image that someone's did? Is there one that stands out? Like, oh man, that image is just.
I don't know. I think that's tough to pick one, just because the artists we've used have all been drastically different art styles.
Yeah.
And we try to keep one for like our trilogies. We just, completed one trilogy, and we had Alex Mayer do the artwork for it. And now Miranda Young is working with us, and she just did our Spring-O-Ween art. Oh, it's tough. I don't know. And we started, Stephanie Mayton, she did a ton of artwork for us. She's even done some of the portraits you'll find inside the haunted house. So if
Right.
you walk through, last year we started doing No Slaughter Night, which is our actor free night. So we could give people an opportunity to walk through the sets and actually see those little details. Because not only do we like to work with artists, we think what we're creating is art. It's an immersive experience, and we want you to live it, you know, to walk through it, to be part of it. And, you know,
Yeah, I mean, one of the things when we started the haunt is saying we want the haunt to be very art focused and kind of high end thought processes, and we want to put that first, even almost before the scares. It's very dark art focused. So we just always want to focus on that and to push that, and to just keep working with great people, because they inspire us too. All the different artists. As far as the ones that my favorites, it's always the new one.
yeah, whatever's newest. Yeah.
You know, like all haunters, we're always, you know, ADD. We jump from one thing to the next. So it's definitely the latest one is our favorite, or at least for me.
And then when we do our photos for the season, it's going to be the newest photograph, whatever piece, because the photographers we work with are incredible as well. And then they come back with something and you're like, that's it. I want to frame that. That's going on the wall. So
yeah,
it's tough. Yes, I love them all. And I'd have to say whatever's newest. Cop out.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So I was curious if you could give any teasers for the 2022 haunt season, say like what attractions could be getting more focus this year.
I would just look to the things we're doing at Spring-O-Ween and the art and the images we're putting out for that. And that's a good teaser for what direction we're kind of going for this season. And usually in July, we'll announce the new theme, and kind of then we can start pushing the photos and the videos and things like that.
Okay.
This is a question I usually ask in the beginning, but we're kind of going backwards here. What got you into the whole haunt business and industry?
Well, I mean, this is an answer you hear from every haunt owner. They love haunted houses ever since they were a kid. So started making haunts in, the parents' basement. So obviously I was doing that. I was making horror movies with the handheld camera. Then I worked at a haunt when I moved to Richmond. I hadn't worked at a haunt at all when I was a kid, at least, not a professional one, just like fall festivals and stuff. But I grew up in Lynchburg, so they had Scaremare. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that's run by Liberty University. It's the Christian college in Lynchburg, but they've been around for like 30 years. They get thousands of people. So that's kind of all I grew up with haunts. And then when I got to college, I started researching more of the professional haunts around Virginia. And I was like, I got to work for a haunt when I graduate. So when I moved to Richmond, I found a local haunt, worked there for 3 years. I learned about set design. I was their marketing coordinator. So I set up different events, and I promoted them and focused on the art and images and stuff like that. And then when they lost their location, that's when all my friends from the haunt were like, let's go around and let's see what we can do here. Because we're obviously not in the position to start a new haunt. So we started volunteering at other haunts around Virginia as their line entertainment. And then the next year we started getting hired to do line entertainment. And then it suddenly became a business. So I would focus on promoting us and contacting the other haunt owners and working deals and, basically being kind of like a agent for all the other actors I was working with, and also contacting restaurants and bars and doing these little photo ops. And then we started a book club. And then that's where I met Kitty, because Kitty joined the book club. And then we did Spring-O-Ween, built the escape room for that. And then we started building sets for Scares That Care, which is a charity organization that does an event in the summer. And they wanted to have a haunted house in their hotel where the I guess it was a convention, charity convention is. So we built like 5 or 6 scenes, I guess it was 8 scenes or something. Yeah. So, you know, bought a bunch of lumber, plywood, got a bunch of props, built it in a friend's backyard, and took it to the convention. And suddenly we had a little mini haunt. So I started calling around to different farms or, you know, skate parks or whatever else, putt-putt parks, to see if they wanted to have a haunt in October. You know, I was like, we have all these scenes and we can come and do a little mini haunt for you. And the Hanover Vegetable Farm was one of the first ones to contact me, and they seemed the most excited. So throughout the next year, I kind of broke down how it would work, what we needed. And then after the second year of Scares That Care, we packed everything up into a moving van, took it to the farm, dropped it off, and we started building, and we've been there for 7 years. So that's basically how it works.
So that's like when the whole Red Vein Army started, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So we started off, and Red Vein just kind of popped in my head. And we started calling each other the Red Vein Army. And it had to do with, because Richmond is RVA. So it kind of fit with that, you know, Red Vein Army, RVA. And when we were thinking of a name for the haunt, we thought of all these other names, and it was very basic. And we were, you know, a lot of haunts have similar names. It's, you know, scary something, something, or whatever, horror something, something, haunted something. And we were like, everyone knows us as Red Vein. Why don't we just say we're Red Vein Haunted House and kind of go from there? So then we really doubled down on the Red Vein name. And, you know, it's taken off from there. Every year just grows bigger and bigger. It's crazy.
And I had no haunt experience. I just came for book club. So I was there. I was like, I like stories. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she started off as, you know, just doing book club. And then suddenly she's helping build sets and designing it. And the second escape room we did, it was all her with the design. And yeah, it's, you know, now you do it all.
Yeah, no, here. Also, I don't like to be told no. So I like, so if we have an idea, it's like, all right, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's the scene like down in Virginia, like the haunt scene? Like, is it a lot of, or you got competition? Is there a lot of other?
Yeah, I mean, just in Virginia, there's probably about 30 to 40 haunts. But then we have the theme parks. So we have King's Dominion and Busch Gardens. So really, haunt fans in Virginia know about the theme parks mostly. And then you have your, you know, probably about 10 to 15 farm haunts. And then the rest are like in maybe buildings or out in the woods somewhere. So it's definitely not as big as, you know, Georgia or Ohio or the Midwest, or even North Carolina. North Carolina has a pretty big haunt community. But Virginia has some really good haunts, though. I don't know if have you guys been to Virginia haunt? I can't remember. Yeah, Virginia has some really good ones, and some that have been around forever. Like I said, Scaremare has been around 30 years. Darkwood Manor in Luray has been around 20 years, and they're amazing. I've learned so much from Lewis, who owns Darkwood. Luray is just a small tourist town, small mountain town. It's a tourist town because they have the caverns there. But he's been such a mentor to me, and some of my first props I ever bought were from Darkwood, and really he gave me a lot of props too. So the haunt community is great in Virginia. There's a lot of mentors out there. So it's small, but it's very good and very active. So I think Virginia has a really strong, like, underrated haunt community.
Yeah, hopefully we can bring more people to the state to, you know, to explore it and, you know, discover the attractions that are here. And even near us, you know, we have one that's 2 miles down the road, another one that's about 20 minutes away. Another that's coming up, Total Terror. They're about 30 minutes, 45 minutes away from us.
And we love those guys.
Yeah.
They're going to be out at Spring-O-Ween.
They'll be doing a mask demo.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about
So
that.
we try to work with as many haunts as possible. While it's competition, but it's a friendly competition. At least that's how we think of it. Of course, we want to be the best, but we also know it's a small community and we need to work together. So that's how we approach it.
Yeah, and if a customer comes out, they had a really good time, the first thing they're going to ask is like, what can we do next? Are there more haunts? Where else can I go? So you want the attractions around you to be just as solid because you want to send them there.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So we'd rather bring people to Virginia and give them tons of places to go and make sure they want to come back.
Yeah. And like we were saying, Red Vein started off traveling to different haunts in Virginia. So I've met most of the haunt owners in Virginia, worked with them closely. So, as far as I'm concerned, they're friends, and Red Vein wouldn't be here without the other haunt owners in Virginia. Not only the mentorship, like I talked about, but the prop trading or the prop selling or giving the props away. A haunt that's been around for 20 years, they don't need all these smaller props anymore. So you give them to the up and comer.
Yeah.
And in off-season events, sometimes we share actors, which is really fun when you get people that come to scare with you that work at, wherever. I can't even think of anyone, but I know our Christmas haunt, we ended up with actors from 5 different attractions, and it's just fun. It's really nice to get to know them. And then when we get to go and experience their off-season events, because we can never go in October.
No.
Do a Valentine event, we'll come see you.
Yeah, it's a little too cold for us to do a February haunt, so we try to visit the other haunts as much as possible. So Valentine's, we'll visit other haunts. December, as long as they're not open the same weekend, if it's open after us, then we can definitely go visit them. Yeah, but there's one other haunt in Virginia. Well, there's 2 other haunts in Virginia that do almost year-round stuff. There's one in Virginia Beach that's open year-round. That we visit. We're friends with them. And then another one near Virginia Beach, Chesapeake. They are open like 8 times a year for different holidays. So we've been there a couple times.
Nice. That's awesome. There's so many haunts in Virginia. Nice.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's kind of underrated. You won't think there's a good haunt community or a large haunt community, but there actually is.
Nice. All right. So this is something I thought was really interesting with your escape rooms. I thought the phobia escape room sounded really interesting. I had to go in with only 2 people and it's dark. And I want to know, how often do people actually solve it instead of just freak out, I'm in the dark, and not get out?
This is one of my favorite experiences to watch because no one knows what to expect going in there. And success rate is difficult to give because you don't always get it on the first try. One of my favorite groups of customers played it 4 times. And the very first time they went in and just hugged each other for 10 minutes. I'm certain one of them was crying, but it's okay. So they went home, booked it at like 1 a.m. for the next day, came back, tried again. This time they touched a wall. So I was so excited. I was like, all right, you guys are making progress. And I see them like every weekend until they beat it. And every week they just got a little closer. But I guess as far as going in there on your very first try and completing it, maybe 20%.
Yeah,
but it
sounds right.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's definitely a memorable experience, and we love messing with people.
Yes.
And the escape rooms aren't at the actual haunt, it's in another location and it's open year round.
Yeah,
right?
it's 6 miles away. So it's in downtown Ashland, which is right on the train tracks. So it's open year round. Plus we do the seasonal ghost tours there too, where we take you basically a loop around the town, tell you all the different stories about haunted events and ghost stories associated. So we have 3 tours now. Yeah.
3 tours.
So yeah.
We do have some 3-minute games at the haunted house. So when you exit, you can play those if you're feeling ambitious.
Yeah, we haven't had them for the last 2 years because of COVID, but we're bringing them back this year. We actually built a lean-to we have a barn that has our merchandise and our gift shop, and then where we build everything. And we built a lean-to on that where we're going to put the escape games. So we're finally bringing that back this year. So we are excited to have that back.
Yeah.
Yeah, look forward to that for the 2022 haunt season.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Maybe we'll lock more people in a dark room and see what happens.
That's what we do to the actors who call out, you got to go to phobia.
Oh, that's great.
And it's totally up to you if you want to answer it. I've never asked this question to any haunt owner before, so it's totally up to you if you want to answer it. Obviously, you spend a lot of time at the haunt all year round building it. What does your house look like at Halloween? Do you decorate crazy, or is you just kind of like just throw everything into the haunt and, or is your house like the house to go to?
Last year we just bought a new house.
Yeah.
So usually it's very sparse because we just don't have time and we're exhausted. But this year we were like, we have to do something, or last year we said we have to do something. And I bought a couple of the giant skeletons from Lowe's.
Oh yeah.
So we put one at the haunt and then one came here. So we had that in the front yard. And then we got, someone was clearing out their garage, and for some reason, I guess it makes sense, but for some reason I always get calls like every month, hey, I'm clearing out my garage of the Halloween stuff or whatever. Do you want to come like grab it? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. I have nowhere to put anything. There's still, our backyard is full of like just crap that we have that we don't know where to put it. But anyway, he had all these jack-o'-lanterns, these foam jack-o'-lanterns. So Katie strung them up in the trees outside, and we had the lights, and we had the 12-foot skeleton, or is it 10-foot or 12-foot? I don't know.
It's 12 foot. I don't know. We're going a little crazy. We put some effort. It wasn't as intense as we would have liked, but we did put things outside and made it look a little festive. We were clearly the most festive house.
Oh yeah. We're like, there's no way we're going to be shown up by someone else in the neighborhood. We have to have stuff out.
But we weren't at home haunt level. It wasn't that.
No,
that
we'll never be that much. I mean, it's just too much to do. We're too stressed, and we get home and we just want to sit down, but it's nice to be able to cut on the lights, turn on the skeleton, and at least look at that.
Yeah.
I think we put fog out one night just to try it out. But yeah, I mean, inside the house, I don't know, there's collections of stuff.
It's spooky year round. So
yeah.
So Halloween, it's like, oh, let's just put a live.
It doesn't change that much. Yeah, it doesn't really change that much. It's kind of stuff year round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like a
Cool,
trick-or-treating society there? Are there like trick-or-treaters that come to your house?
We have no idea.
I don't know.
We work at a haunted house. We're not here.
We put some candy outside.
Yeah, we put candy in a bowl. We see, it's still there when we get back. I think some of it's taken, but we have no idea what it's like on Halloween.
Well, I was always curious about, I'm surprised I never asked that question before with all the haunt owners we've interviewed, but I was just curious on what their house looks like.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm curious what other haunt owners' house looks like.
Yeah.
And wondering if it's like, trash most of the year like us. And
yeah, what he's not telling you is that there are boxes of props everywhere.
Amazon boxes everywhere. Yeah, props everywhere.
Yeah.
It's bad now because we're getting ready to have Spring-O-Ween, but September, it's awful. It's okay.
And our cat's here.
Alfred.
So I've seen from your marketing over the years that you have the red triangles throughout everything. And I've actually seen that you have custom masks and products, like from Pumpkin Pulp, you had a custom triangle. And I thought that was super neat with the eye. And I wanted to know overall, how many products do you think in your attractions incorporate the triangle?
Half, probably 25%. As far as just the masks, Yeah, probably about 25%.
Okay.
But then throughout the haunt, we have triangles everywhere too. So we have little stick triangles that we have in the woods that we hung from trees. We'll have triangles marked in blood throughout. It almost like kind of points the way to the end, like to the basement. You know, you're trying to get to the basement to the end. So it kind of almost, again, yeah, points the way.
Yeah, it's engraved on the tombstones and the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty consistent.
Yeah. So we try to have that everywhere. Yeah, it's another kind of cult symbol that we've incorporated, and also it becomes a branding symbol too. So whenever you see the triangle, you know it's us.
Yes, definitely. So out of all the attractions at Red Vein, which attraction have you seen overall get the best scares in?
It changes year to year. Consistently. Probably the house, especially the last couple years when we changed a lot of it, because we've been focusing on having an actor have multiple scares, which that's of course the trend going around with haunts.
Yes.
But you know, we were doing the same thing. We're making sure an actor just isn't in a scene doing one thing and that's it. So we completely changed the format of our final attraction, making it so you could really run almost a whole section, which is like 15 scenes with one actor. But I mean, usually during the season, it's like 5 actors working it. But when that's going and it's on point, you're having customers scream like back to back to back to back. And when we have those nights where that's happening and everything's rolling, that's just the best feeling in the world, because the design aspects working out, the actors are having a blast. So probably the house, when that's rolling how it should, is my favorite. It's always change year to year, night to night. You know, some night the asylum is, you know, top dog and they're getting everyone. Then it changes to the woods. Everyone loves the sideshow, you know, and the chainsaw. We have the chainsaw in the middle and then the sideshow right after that. So that's always a sweet spot where, you know, we get a lot of people having, we call them itchy lambs. So if there's an itchy lamb, we have to take them out.
Yeah.
So lots of itchy lambs at the chainsaw sideshow area too.
And I'm sure that front of house is really the scariest.
Right.
Our security team,
Terrify people.
Our queue attendants, our gift shop. Yeah, we're the most terrifying.
Kitty runs, front of house, and I'm back house. So it's kind of how we operate.
Awesome. So tell everybody everything you're doing. Obviously, you're doing Spring-O-Ween. Tell everybody about the dates for that.
Yep. Spring-O-Ween is coming up Saturday, April 30th from 4 to 8 p.m. at Hanover Vegetable Farm. We have pre-sale tickets available now for $10. If you buy it at the gate, it's $15. So pre-sale, you save a lot of money. It's going to be an awesome time. Bands, vendors, food, drinks. The debut of our 3-minute escape rooms. You can't beat it. It's going to be an awesome time. And then, of course, Red Vein Haunted House opens in October. Dates will be released in July, and we'll have tickets available probably around then too.
Yeah. And what are all your social media? What are your handles and everything?
Always, it's at Red Vein Haunt for all the haunt stuff, and then at Red Vein Escape for all the escape room stuff. At Haunted Ashland for the ghost tours.
Nice.
We return on Friday the 13th in May.
Yep.
Nice. So I have been John from the Haunt Informer.
And I'm Glenn from Fall Ritual.
And this has been episode 26 of Fall Informer. And thank you very much for joining us and talking to us.
Thank you
Thanks
so much
for having us.
See you next time.
Yes. And until next time, happy hauntings.